Hello, Udbhav. This is Sanskriti, your mentor at Vaga Academy, and I'll be taking your demo session of Olympiad Science today. So, the topic that we'll be covering in the demo session today would be microorganisms. So, just tell me first, Udbhav, that what all do you know about microorganisms so that I can know that how do I have to tell you about stuff?
Microorganisms are like small organisms, like they are present everywhere.
Okay, okay. That's a very basic idea you have. But in the Olympiads part, we'll discuss a very difficult type of question so that you can actually answer the questions which come in Olympiads. But we'll start from the basic and then clearly just go to a very higher level. Okay, so let's start. First of all, we have to discuss the types and characteristics of the microorganisms. Okay, the first type that you need to know is bacteria. Okay, the first of all, before you learn all of it, you need to know that there are two different types of organisms: prokaryotes and wait, I'll just yeah. First is prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Okay, so first of all, coming to prokaryotes, let's break that. You know what? Biology works in the system of breaking down words. You first of all have to break down this word. This has two words. First is pro, and second one is karyotes. Pro is like previous. Pro means previous year. Previous would mean ancient in the terms of biology. Karyote means nucleus. Do you know that every cell has a nucleus, Udbhav? Okay, that's a good. So, what would prokaryote mean is that ancient nucleus, and eukaryotes. It also can be broken into two forms. First is eu, and the second one is karyote, where eu means true, and karyotes obviously means nucleus. So, what would it actually mean? Prokaryote means ancient nucleus, and eukaryotes would mean true nucleus. And now, what does this mean actually? The point is that you define that organisms can be classified into prokaryotes and eukaryotes on the basis of the nucleus that they nucleus has the genetic material due to which that cell is able to perform their function and reproduce. Okay, so the prokaryotes have an ancient nucleus and eukaryotes have a true and a new nucleus, which is actually existence in currently all the like we are human beings, developed organisms. So that's why we are eukaryotic organisms. But when talking about very small bacteria, okay, they have a very ancient nucleus. So they come under the category of prokaryotes. So now we can start explaining this. Bacteria, prokaryote means they have ancient nucleus. Since that the point is everything is interconnected here. Since it is a prokaryote, means it has ancient nucleus. Ancient nucleus would mean it has very less of genetic material, and it is since there is less of genetic material, a cell reproduces by copying itself. Okay, now there is less matter to copy. It can reproduce easily, so that is why it reproduces rapidly. Okay, so this is very easy way that you can remember that prokaryotic cells work in bacteria. Now, bacteria can be good and bad. The good bacteria are present like Rhizobium bacteria, which fixes nitrogen. Rhizobium bacteria is rhizobium bacteria is actually present in the root nodules of plants, which gives them nitrogen. Other the bad bacteria which can cause diseases, for example, are Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is actually the agent for tuberculosis disease. Coming to fungi, we'll cover viruses later. Coming to fungi are other type of microorganisms. They come under eukaryotic. Eukaryote was true nucleus. True nucleus means developed nucleus. Okay. Fungi includes molds and yeasts. Okay. Some examples that you should know. They are you fungi are very much important because they actually help in eliminating bacteria. They're used in antibiotics. Antibiotics are actually kind of made of antibiotics are the kind of bioorganisms which help in eliminating other organisms. For example, we have penicillium, which is used to remove the bacteria which cause stomachache in our body. Okay, or it is used in yeast. Okay, so this is one way you can actually learn the fungi. Now, coming to protozoa. Protozoa are specifically unicellular eukaryotes, means they have true nucleus, but there's just one cell, and they can be defined into two parts. First, that some of them are autotrophs, means they photosynthesize, for example, euglena, and the others can cause diseases, for example, plasmodium, which causes malaria. The other microorganisms that we have are algae. There's nothing much to cover more than it. It is a plant-like protist. Protist would here mean are like the, just protozoan cells. Okay, and they're mainly found in aquatic places. Now, coming to the most questionable part of microorganisms are viruses. Okay, can you answer this, Udbhav? Are viruses alive or dead?
Viruses are like they are basically dead, but when they attach to a host, they become alive.
That is absolutely correct, Udbhav. So, yes, they are not living outside the host. Either DNA or RNA they can have, never both. And okay, so yeah. Example HIV, which is a retrovirus, and chickenpox virus. Okay, do you know that what is a retrovirus?
No.
Okay, so I'll explain you that. A retrovirus is a virus which will inject its DNA into the host's DNA and alters the original DNA. For example, that this we have an example for HIV. Okay, the HIV virus would enter the host cell and then would release its DNA into the DNA of the host cell. Because of that, it is entering its own DNA in the DNA of the host cell. The original DNA of the host cell gets altered, and that is why that cell gets destroyed. So that is why HIV is actually a syndrome, and there is no actually a proper cure for AIDS, because AIDS is a syndrome caused by HIV virus. Okay, it is because it's directly attacking the nuclear material of a cell, and if there is no nuclear material left in a cell, it cannot reproduce, it cannot perform the cell's important functions, and because of that, that body would stop functioning. Did you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good. Okay, one more thing that you need to know, that viruses must infect a host to reproduce. That is, of course, because that is when they become alive, and they obligate, they are obligating intracellular parasites. It means that parasites are some organism which enter your body and feed on you. That is what viruses are also doing. They are intracellular parasites. They enter the cell and they feed on the cells, whatever stuff they are doing, like all the food that they have, they ingest that and are getting alive out of that cell. And when that cell dies, they jump onto another cell, and that is why they're able to just access the entirety of the body and destroy. Coming to the next part, it is just a table that you need to remember, because these are very, very important microorganisms which you should know for they actually come in exams. Okay, first microorganism, lactobacillus. It converts milk to curd. Second, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It converts alcohol from sugar. It is the term for converting alcohol from sugar is fermentation. You have to learn this. I know it's a little bit of overwhelming, but when you are learning all biology, you have to learn all this stuff. Now,
Ma'am, it is yeast.
Acetobacter aceti. Could you repeat that?
Ma'am, is it yeast?
No, because yeast actually does. Yeast is a very general term that we used for these fermentation bacteria, but there is a specific type of name for that yeast, which is converting that sugar from alcohol. You need to remember that specific name for it,
Okay, ma'am.
because yeast is actually, in general you say that okay, the yeast is converting that, but yeast is a kind of a name of the entire group. Under that we have other bacteria which are performing fermentation on every other kind of product. Okay, yeah, coming to Acetobacter aceti, you can learn it through the name. It converts alcohol into acetic acid. Acetic acid is basically just vinegar. So since you can understand there is aceto, aceti coming a lot, you can learn it pretty easily. It converts alcohol to acetic acid. One is Penicillium carcinogenum. It is the antibiotic penicillin, which you have already learned that the penicillin is made up of fungi, and it is an antibiotic, so it will be very easy to learn. This one you can miss because it's not actually very much asked, as I've seen in the previous year question papers, but still it's never wrong to learn more stuff. Very important is E. coli. E. coli is actually a very good bacteria which is present in our gut. It is actually helping us digest food and kill any other viruses that we might be present in our group that we digest. Okay, but if we extract the E. coli that is present in our gut and genetically modify it to become more aggressive towards the bacteria, it can help you make insulin in your body. Do you understand that, Udbhav?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that we have learned a little bit out of it. I mean, it's a little overwhelming, but you can obviously get through that. Okay, now we'll learn a few about the diseases part, their causative agents, and what are the types. Chickenpox is caused by a virus. The name of the virus is varicella zoster. Malaria is caused by a protozoan, which is Plasmodium, which we had learned. Leprosy, it is another bacterial disease. It's a skin disease actually, which is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. Then there is ringworm. It is called by fungus. It actually causes, different kind of pigmentation on your skin. It is caused by trichophyton. Okay, so these are some things that you need to actually learn, because without that you won't be answer the few questions that you might be having in Olympiads. Okay. One very important thing is that protozoans, which are unicellular eukaryotes, have both autotrophic and heterotrophic features. Like autotrophic, for example, we can have Euglena, and heterotrophic, we can have many other examples, like we have here Plasmodium, which is actually acting as a disease causing agent. Okay, so yeah, protozoans can be both autotrophic and heterotrophic. You know what's autotrophic, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, Udpa. Coming to the very most important and unique concepts. First is horizontal gene transfer. It is a process that how bacteria is transferring their gene in different cells. That is how they are causing diseases. Okay. Bacteria can pass plasmids, small DNA loops that carry resistance genes to other bacteria. Basically, what basically I'll just draw some bacteria. Okay, this some random shape it has, and it has some random pili on its boundaries. Okay, these pili, if you're magnifying it, have all these small structures coming out of it. These are having the small DNA loops which come in when it come in contact with any other cell or any other bacteria. They transfer their genes, they transfer the genetic material into that host, due to which they're able to make sure that they are able to reproduce, they are able to make sure that their species lives. Okay, like when they're on the verge of dying, that bacteria reproduces and gets killed very quickly and fast. So any other bacteria that they have nearby, they enter these small DNA loops that they have, which are actually called plasmids, into that bacteria, and that is how they're able to transfer the genetic material. And that bacteria, since it has now the genetic material of that bacteria, is gonna work like that, and then actually their species gonna go move forward and forward. Now this is not reproduction but gene sharing. It is a way that they are actually coming up with. So because it's not always possible that bacteria has the ideal conditions for reproduction, because it requires a perfect amount of heat, and they should have food and all that stuff around them. That environment should be there, or not until then they cannot reproduce. If they cannot reproduce, they switch to an adaptation that they actually have now in bacteria, which is gene sharing. So that is how it happens. Okay. One another new important thing that you need to know is antimicrobial resistance, which can be just written as AMR. Antimicrobial resistance is actually present in organisms now, which happens because of too much of intake of any kind of antibiotics. Okay, for example, many a times that you would be like, okay, I'm having a cold or I'm having a fever, I'll go to the doctor and get a prescription, I'll take that medicine, I'll get fine, right? But many a times people don't follow that prescription for the entire time, and like if that prescription is for a week and you feel better after 3 days, you will stop taking that prescription. That is how you are gonna get the antimicrobial resistance, which is not actually good for you. Because now that because that medicine, that prescription was made in a way that your body would not forget how to fight with that particular bacteria, with that parasitic microorganism, which can infest your body sometime in the future again. So since you have taken it for only a short time, your body would not be able to remember about how to fight that bacteria, and because of this, you will your body will develop a resistance to all these antibiotics that you're having, would not work the second time you take them. Do you understand that, Udbhav?
Yes.
Okay, so now we use all of these antibiotics a lot on livestock, because according to humans, obviously it's like that we have to, get lots of, milk or get lots of eggs out of these, livestock that we have. So we just feed them with antibiotics so that they are developing resistance against all of the diseases. So they lose their natural immunity out of it, because their body doesn't know how to protect itself now. Okay, and unregulated access to antibiotics, that is how you're getting antimicrobial resistance. This is not actually good for humans by themselves, because natural immunity is something that is important. For example, we saw currently the coronavirus thing here, that how natural immunity was actually important, because nobody had the medicine or any kind of way that you can stop yourself from contracting the disease. Only your natural immunity was something that was protecting you in the start of everything, right? That is why, as long as you get this antimicrobial resistance, you cannot protect yourself from these. So being a student, that you will grow up and become a researcher, you need to have these ethics about some things, that you do not have to use all of these medicines in too much of number. Okay, so yeah, all of these things that are happening, that horizontal gene transfer, this antimicrobial resistance, strains like MRSA, which is the methicillin resistant staphylococcus aureus, emerge. Basically, this is kind of an example that we are giving, that initially our body could be very easily be resisting this exact bacteria that we have, which used to cause some kind, which used to actually this which just cause some disease in the brain. We could be very easily be resistant to it, because the natural immunity used to guarantee that. But because of this AMR, we have you know deteriorated ourselves in a way that we actually have to take medicines now, so that to counter this bacteria's effect, which is not a good sign for us. Okay,
Okay.
coming to a recall thingy, rhizobium, as I said, is present in root nodules, does nitrogen fixing. This is one extra thing that you can remember. Vibrio fischeri, you can learn from it that fish light. Vibrio is actually, translates to light, and fish light is actually called bioluminescence. Okay, Aspergillus niger, it is used in citric acid production. Okay, and Mycobacterium leprae, it is the disease, it causes the disease leprosy, which you had learned earlier as well. Like, it's just facts most of the time, you just have to remember it. Coming to a few questions that you can answer these. Okay, choose the correct statements, very important, about viruses. All viruses are obligating intracellular parasites. Is it correct or incorrect, Udbhav?
Incorrect.
It's actually correct, because the viruses are acting as parasites, because when they enter the cell, they're using all
Oh,
the material
I thought it was
that.
bacteria, not parasites.
No, no, no. I written in the first slide itself. Wait, I'll just show you. It's all right. You can have doubts. Yeah, viruses must infect a host to reproduce. They are obligating intracellular parasites. Do you understand that, Udbhav?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so this is absolutely correct. Okay, so I explained about retroviruses. Can you just tell it again that what I told about retroviruses, if you remember? Utpal?
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Retroviruses, they give their DNA formula to their host.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. Retroviruses can give their DNA, and because of this, they are reversing the transcriptic enzyme. Basically, you need to understand that transcriptase enzyme is actually called lipase. I'll write that down. That's some extra thing that you need to remember. This is lipase, which is present in the genetic material of any cell. Okay, of any cell. Now, since they carry because they carry the retroviruses carry this transcriptase enzyme, they're able to edit the genes, the DNA of the host cell that they are targeting. That is why this is also correct. Coming to the next point, bacteriophages, which is also a virus, can reproduce independently in nutrient media. Is it correct or incorrect?
It's incorrect because bacteriophages they need a host.
Exactly, that you know this, Udbhav. That's good. Viral capsid is composed of polysaccharides. Well, I don't expect you to know this because this is another fact. Viral capsid, it's actually talking about the virus. You know, viruses have this hexagonal type of structure. Okay. So yeah, it is actually composed of proteins, not exactly polysaccharides. So it is wrong. So only first and second are correct. That means that option A is absolutely correct. Yeah. So yeah, option one and two is correct because statement three is viruses can't reproduce outside host, and four is false because capsid is a protein. Yeah. Coming to the next question. Okay. Yeah, match the following microorganisms with the unique feature. Rhizobium, we just learned about it. Can you just tell that what
Rhizo-
feature does it?
E, nitrogen fixation in root nodules.
That is absolutely correct. So one is for B. So B and C option are absolutely eliminated. Just have to check the second one then. Second one is Mycobacterium leprae. So what does it do?
Uh, I forgot
It's
this
fine
one.
if you do not know this. You can go to the third and fourth because the options are absolutely different. If you know even know one of these, then you can answer. Vibro, fishery, and
Penicillium, the penicillium I think is C.
actually that's not even an option actually because for either it should be D or it should be A. So it can either
But
be antibiotic
penicillium
production.
that it converts curd into no milk into curd, right?
So leprosy is caused by Mycobacterium udvav actually. I can show you that. Wait. Yeah, leprosy is caused by Mycobacterium leprae, right?
Okay.
Okay, it's fine. You can have it also. I don't expect you to learn all of this info in just one class. But yeah, I can just tell you that Vibro fishery. I just told you that Vibro is translating to light and fishery is fish. And fish light is actually translating to bioluminescence. So three is gonna be A. And because of this, option A is gonna be absolutely correct. The Mycobacterium causes leprosy. Penicillium is actually, making the penicillin antibiotic, which is the antibiotic production. So do you understand that, Utpal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so option A is absolutely correct. Coming to the third question, which of the following statements are true about protozoa? Protozoa are unicellular eukaryotes.
Uh, protozoa are Yes.
That is absolutely correct, Udbhav. You do remember this. Some protozoa have chloroplast and can photosynthesize. They are asking, are protozoa autotrophs? So are they yes or
Yes.
no, Udbhav? That is absolutely correct. Plasmodium, which is a protozoa, reproduces both sexually and asexually.
No, it reproduces only asexually, I think.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there that must be a network issue. I'll start again. So okay, there's another
Yes.
question. Plasmodium reproduces both sexually and asexually. Okay, I do because I did not cover this in class, but you can just always know that yes, Plasmodium reproduces both sexually and asexually. So this is correct. And protozoa classified under Monera, which is wrong because Monera is a classification which would translate to prokaryotes. And we all know that protozoa are unicellular eukaryotes. So this is wrong. So the only options that we have correct are 1, 2, and 3 only. So option B should be correct. Do you understand that, Udbhav?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, option B is correct because protozoa are not in Monera, they are in Protista. Yeah. Coming to another match the following question, which is the last question here. So we'll just cover this. Yeah. So you have to actually match the microorganism to the product that they are making. Okay. Lactobacillus. It's very easy. Can you remember this?
Yes, cheese
Acetic
and curd.
acid, cheese and curd. Okay, that is absolutely correct. You know this one cup, one is B, and you do not need to check any other option. Actually, it's option A because you can check any other option to just clarify this. That for second, that is Acidobacter aceti. It should be A, C, or D.
A.
A, that is absolutely correct. So all other options would be correct only. So that is how you save time during competitive exams. You just check one option if your all others are different, and boom, you have got the answer. So option A is correct, and it is absolutely correct. Coming to the last question here, choose the correct statements regarding antimicrobial resistance AMR. AMR can spread through plasmid exchange between bacteria. Is it correct or incorrect?
Uh, Plasma. Yes, correct.
That is absolutely correct because we know about the horizontal gene transfer was actually taking place, that the plasmid exchange is happening between bacteria. It comes under AMR only. This is correct.
Yes.
Misuse of antibiotics for viral infections contributes to AMR.
Yes.
That is absolutely correct. AMR is not a concern in fungal infections. Is it correct or incorrect, Udbhav?
Incorrect.
Because AMR comes in microbial resistance. It comes in fungus as well because if you take too much of penicillin, your body is gonna lose the natural kind of immunity that you have against the bacteria, which it is protecting you. So it does come under the fungal infections part as well. Okay. So now horizontal gene transfer contributes to spread of AMR. I mean, you answered the first question, so obviously you can answer the fourth as well.
Yes.
So it is correct or incorrect?
Correct.
That is absolutely right. So 1 to 1 option B we need to check.
B.
So yeah, option B is absolutely correct. So yeah, we are done with the demo class with Buff. Do you have any doubts?
No.